Hey YouTube, it's Magician34, and I've got a deck for you I call Quickdraw. And what it is basically it's GigaVise and Quickdraw, like Quickdraw Dandy Warrior, kind of fused into one with a couple of neat tricks. This is more or less kind of a fun deck, but you'll find it's actually pretty fierce. And with a few modifications, could certainly go and perform well at something like a regional, despite how incredibly fast our format is right now. So let's get right to it. First, 3 copies of the Mighty Giga Plant, kind of the core of GigaVise, kind of star monster in this deck. 2 copies of Lone Fire, obviously, fetches all your plants and whatnot. 2 copies of Dandelion, who behooves both decks. Spore, who's often your tuner of choice. We're also going to run 2 copies of Cherry and Mado, your 2-star tuner of choice usually. Running 2 basically because one can fetch the other. Pretty obvious. But it's nice to have a second tuner you can top deck into as well. 1 copy of Titanial, good target for Lone Fire, and Giga Plant in theory. She's just kind of, she goes hand in hand with Lone Fire. Runs 1 copy of Lord Poison, you ram it into stuff and it turns into things. Often in plant variants I like more than 1 copy of this guy, but this plays a little faster, so. Plus, we're usually looking to get Giga Plant, and Lord Poison's a little less good for getting him because he comes in without its effect, obviously. 1 copy of Mystic Tomato, plenty of things to fetch with this, plus he's a plant. So, lots of justification. 1 copy of Sangan, great way to fetch Lone Fire, and a couple other things in here. Such as, there is 1 copy of Plague Spreader, you can pitch it to Quickdraw and other things. He's also just a good drop it out of your hand when you've stolen something from your opponent or special summon something tuner. Lots of options. This deck really likes to synchro. I do run 1 copy of Gale. You really need a 3-star tuner in this deck, and he's just pretty much the best gosh darn 3-star tuner there is. Plus his effect doesn't hurt. It helps kill really big stuff. You run 1 copy of Quickdraw. Generally speaking, you're going to search for him one way or another. And you don't have to have Quickdraw to win, but he's a very good addition to the deck. So, one's all you really need because you're going to drill to get him back anyway. There's 1 copy of Blazewing Butterfly, very good to supervise on. Tragoedia, obviously take damage special him, he's great for synchro decks. Enough said on that front. 1 copy of Dark Arm Dragon, you got enough darks and you can manipulate them fairly well, so he's not that hard to get out. So, definitely 1 copy of Dad. He's still a very powerful card. And this last one is one of those really interesting cards I've always wanted to add and use. This deck, obviously anytime I use this mat, usually it means I'm going to run Power Tool Dragon. GigaVise loves Power Tool, and this guy loves Power Tool Dragon. It's Archfiend of Gilfer. It can allow you to endlessly stall and block destroy effects and stuff like that. Obviously you keep re-equipping him to Power Tool. He's a great card to discard to just about everything except Quickdraw. Obviously, you don't want to pitch this guy to Quickdraw Synchron. That's about the only time he's not good. So, because it's being discarded as cost to Quickdraw, so he'll miss his timing. But anyway. Alright, on to the spells. 1 copy of Heavy Storm. MST. Just 1 copy of Sark, but you do need some specific searching in this deck. Foolish Burial, just because there's lots of stuff you want to put in your grave. 1 copy of Pot of Avarice, just 1. You actually don't ditch as many monsters to your grave as quickly as you might think you do. Usually you send them there and then you want to keep them there so you can keep recurring them and doing things with them, so just 1 Pot of Avarice. On to our equips. 3 copies of Supervise, obviously. You're going to Power Tool into 1 and then the 2nd. And if you're lucky, the 3rd. 3 copies of Mark of the Rose, your other equipped spell target of choice for Power Tool, and obviously works really well in this deck and is how you do a lot of syncing. We also run 2 copies of Swing of Memories, because basically this is, in this deck, it's a normal spell that just summons any 8-star synchro. It can also get you 7-star synchros, because what it's going to do is it's going to get you Giga Plant. Your normal summon's going to be on Giga Plant. You're going to use that to special summon 1 of your 2 plant tuners from the grave, and then sync up to 8. And you only ever invested 1 card to get most of the 7 or 8-star synchros you've got in this deck. So, quite useful in here. Just need to get the plant and a tuner in first, that's all. Also have Call of the Haunted, because there's just so much stuff you're going to want to call out of this deck, it's ridiculous. Torrential Tribute, good way to defend yourself, and you don't mind your stuff being in the grave, really. 2 copies of Bottomless, Good way to slow your opponents down and defend yourself. And because you really want to make sure your plays stick, you do run 2 copies of Dust Tornado. Alright, that's the main deck. And the extra deck is actually pretty interesting. It's fairly tight too. 1 copy of Stardust Dragon. Yeah, I got all these ghost rares, it's hard to see what they are. 1 copy of Red Dragon Arcfiend. 1 copy of Colossal Fighter. 1 copy of Thought Ruler Arcfiend. And I do run this one. You gotta really pick the right situations to summon him, but he can definitely be very useful when the timing is right. Black Brute Drago. Your only way you're going to get him is basically through Giga Plant plus a 2-star tuner. It's gotta be the plant because of his specific requirements. But he's a 3-grand beat stick that turns into a Gemini with its effect when he's destroyed. That's destroyed by anything. Basically what he's best for is you can crash him into another giant monster on the field that's also 3,000, and when he dies he'll leave you with a very good residue that you can still use the effect of because it's going to be Gigaplant. So he definitely justifies his existence. You do run 1 copy of Junk Destroyer, obviously, Quickdraw. You run 2 copies of Power Tool Dragon. The reason you run 2 is because you really never want a special for the 3rd generally, and you can Pot of Avarice these guys back if you really, really need it. But generally speaking, you're going to go Power Tool, and then that's the last you're ever going to go for this guy. So yeah, 2 copies of Power Tool Dragon. The only synchro that really just generates free +1s for you no matter what the scenario. Well, assuming you run the equip spells. Black Rose Dragon, still kind of a must. We do have Armor Master, and he's quite easy to sync for as long as you've got the obvious tuner. Nitro Warrior, because he's an incredible beat stick that's easy to summon. Goyo Guardian, still one of your 6 stars of choice, as well as this guy, Bryanek. Also have Drill Warrior. Obviously the Self-Recur guy, one of your primary targets for Quickdraw. Yeah. You should know the drill on that one, no pun intended. And last but not least, Ally of Justice Catastrophe, your 5-star of choice. And that's the deck. So until next time, rate, comment, subscribe, and enjoy.